DMT, set and setting. This is a video that I wanted to make early on because it's something that I don't think gets explored very much, and people have pretty rigid views and kind of a very firm egotistical stance, even if it's in good nature, when they tell you the only way to do DMT is in a dim lit room with your eyes closed, lying down. That's kind of, well, you don't hit it with your eyes closed and lying down, but you get what I mean. I have a rule that I think I started toying with early on, and I've really enjoyed having this concept or this notion, this kind of just rule to carry me through my experiences and what I decided to do and what I decided to try. And it is this simple. I let DMT be the judge. That is the main rule. There's a side rule. You also need to consider some variables as to whether or not it is going to be a good idea to do what you want to do or what you are considering doing with it. Which there are a lot of little minor things you can think about. But ultimately, as long as you are thinking about the notion of this is a DMT trip, it's not just you staring at a lava lamp, but if you're using it as an item of worship or an item of kind of letting the DMT come through that and you're directing your attention, I mean, it's something as simple as a lava lamp, which somebody would scoff at, like this piece of, junk from China that slave labor, and they're going to come at you at all sorts of angles as to why that's terrible, right? And if DMT wants to tell you, hey, why do you have this lava lamp in here? And then it can. Or why do you want to see me this way? It can. But, that might be a little specific of an example. But for instance, you can do this stuff and go outside and look at clouds. And a lot of people could understand that would be good. There's still going to be the people who are like, that's not the way to do DMT. You need to do it this way. And, you just got to ignore people like that. I think there are good-natured people, though, who are like, you know what? It's not necessarily a party drug. Maybe sometimes I don't like the idea of just kind of hitting it occasionally. Some people want to load it in a joint and do little baby hits and not hold it and then only do a hit. If you got a couple joints passing around and there's like 6 people, 5 people, or even just 3 people with one joint. I like to get the amount I'm going to do in my system fairly quickly, but that doesn't mean that sometimes I'll do a hit of it, wait, and then go in, just get a little taste of it, like dip your toes in. And then when you feel really comfortable, and also when you're already tripping a little bit, it is so easy to do a giant rip. I feel like I could do 3 hits worth in one if I have like the lungs of tripping. Whatever it is about being a little bit tripping, you can rip DMT. So there's a lot of things to consider. But more specifically to set and setting, we'll break down some things, I'll share some things. I watched a video of a guy talking about looking at a mirror a couple years back. He said he just wanted to try it. And I heard it and I was like, I want to try that. He did it and he said it and he described it and I was like, okay. And that night I tried it. I was curious. I wanted to know. I thought about it like that day driving and I was like, screw it. I'm going to go home and do this while my food's in the oven. And I did. And it was amazing. And I loved it. I think you need to consider the fact that you are doing DMT and not just whatever side thing you want it to be a part of. So instead of treating it like, you know what, I'm going to, I bought these new lights. I can't wait to see the way they look. But if you're just looking at the lights and only wanting to pay attention to your new lights, DMT might be like, well, might get a little jealous energy wise. I don't know if that sounds a little too hippy dippy, but I do think that it can realize you're not paying attention to it, in a way. As a matter of fact, sometimes when I'm in a group of people and they would rather make it like a little social fun hangout, and I'm kind of very focused in on the trip and kind of like isolating what is unique about this experience. What is DMT bringing to me, and not just the circle of people or talking or laughing. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Oh, it's, it's so crazy, and, or whatever they're doing. I feel like sometimes I get to see stuff that's a little bit wilder, and it appreciates the fact that I really want to see it. I've had some moments like that. So consider the DMT. I'll give you one bad example, and this went well, but it could have gone poorly. I took it to a concert. I was seeing this band, the Black Angels, in DC. And you would think that, DC, a lot of people have vape pens. It's legal to smoke weed. So I brought a vape pen in, and I'm thinking, outside of the smell, no one's going to realize I'm not vaping weed. They're just going to think I'm vaping weed. So I'm looking, I'm thinking, I'm like, well, I don't want to do enough to like fall down, but I'm experienced enough. I think I can stand up. I feel pretty good. I had a little caffeine in me. I hit it. And all of a sudden I thought I should have told the guy next to me that if something happens, that he should let the security know that I'm just tripping a little bit. It'll only last a few minutes. I was going to tell him I was doing something trippy. It's like this thought. I was like, I should turn to him and let him know what I'm doing. Even if it's a little vague, just be like, look, dude, I'm fine, but this is some trippy shit I'm hitting here, and it's going to make stuff get a little wild for a few minutes. So just let somebody know if I act funny to just give me a few minutes. But I thought all about that while I'm pulling my first hit. But then I was like, fuck it, I'm in too far. And I breathed out and just did another hit. And, I rode that one out, and it went fine. I don't think I attracted a whole lot of attention, despite that it was weird being the only person hitting any sort of anything in this building. And, like the giant 6'3" bulky dude, right in the middle of a bunch of like kind of tiny hipstery people. But it was fun. It was a great experience. The DMT didn't seem to mind that I chose to do it in that manner. It showed me a great show. We had a good time together. I mean, if you look at it like that, I think that you can justify trying it in almost any way. And I think as long as you really think it's a good idea and put a little thought and a little bit of heart into it and consider the DMT, pay a little respect to the fact that this is powerful, that it might go wrong, that, maybe there's just a lot of different ways it can go. So if it feels right to you and you've thought it through and you want to give it a go, it's not like all these other ways to do it are immediately going to be bad. Like watching a sunset. Are you kidding me? Like, that's awesome, especially to share like a few friends sitting around a fire pit, just like passing a joint back and forth, just staring at the fire pit. I mean, next thing, it's crazy. You're going to have some wild shared experiences too. And that's like the open eye lends itself for a different style of experience. Instead of isolating the DMT, it's kind of integrated into what's in front of you. And it kind of comes out of things that you might even expect it to, or it's kind of lingering in the corner. I don't like when even the DMT can recognize it's not the focal point. That sounds funny, but like I've done it with like a girl, and they're trying to like talk, or they're trying to like engage with me, and it's almost like I feel like there's this energy in the corner of the room like hiding, or like, are you not going to look at me? And that sounds weird, but it's just the headspace I went in. But generally speaking, let the DMT be the judge. Consider the set and setting, put a little bit of thought into it, put a little bit of heart and respect and adoration for the experience in general, for the DMT, and come in with what you think is a good idea and see what happens. I've done it. I've done like a couple hits, maybe like 30 milligrams, and ran around my pond, or, out back. There's a hiking trail. It used to be a golf course. I've hit it and did a lap around the pond. And it was awesome. It was no problem. I think early on, there are only a few ways that maybe you should try it. Maybe running around a loop is not the best way to get your feet wet with it. But it doesn't have to be the whole lie down, make it a big spiritual ceremony. You got to do as much as you can. 3 big reps, slide back to this, If you want to try it a certain way, try it a certain way, and then kind of, reflect on it. Think if it was a good idea. Think of what maybe could have been different about it. Whatever you want to do. If you have an idea that you want to run by me, leave it in the comments. Whatever it is, I'll give you maybe some thoughts on it, or maybe I've experienced something similar or heard of someone doing something similar, because I know a lot of people who've done different things with it, even mixing it with other concoctions. It is what it is, but we can just say don't do it and let people do it on their own, or people can be honest and they're like, hey, I'd like to know if I should try it with some ketamine. Have you ever heard anyone doing with that? It doesn't hurt to just ask. I'm not going to be a dick about it. I'll just give you my recommendation. So yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah, even like, I know this is mainly about set and setting, so I don't want to get too sidetracked. The main things, though, to kind of recap, you are going to consider the set and setting. You do want to consider it. But the main rule is let DMT be the judge. Let the experience speak for itself as to whether or not it was a good idea or whether it was right or wrong. You're using something that has a pretty good judge of right and wrong in some way, at least some extent has a way of seeing things that way. So let DMT be the judge. Don't let anybody like me or anyone else tell you you can't do it, that you can't do that. As a matter of fact, if somebody tells me they have an idea, they really want to do it, and it's something I think is a little risky, I'm like, well, hey, if that's what you want to do, you better tell me what the hell happens. I want to know. So, yeah, not that I want anybody to do anything too risky, but hell, you're already a rule breaker. You're smoking DMT, so screw it. Hey, Godspeed, safe travels.